set for all time that from now on we're not going to use 11.2, we're going to use 14 grams. And so now we have a new halachic weight that is 14 grams, and that is the coin that was used in the Beit HaMikdash. And it says over and over again in the Gemara that the coin that was used to bring to the Beit HaMikdash was the shekel tzori, 14 grams. Now there's a machloket whether you bring machatzita shekel, half a shekel tzori, or a whole shekel tzori. I'm going to show you what they look like. Are we going on this? Okay. This and all of the pictures here are correct in terms of their size, even though they're different pictures. Okay. So here's a shekel tzori. All right. And here's a machatzit shekel tzori. Right. The question is whether you should bring, each person should bring one chatzi shekel tzori, or every two people should bring a whole shekel tzori. Teku. We don't know. Okay? But either way, this is the amount, 14 grams, and it is exactly 16% more than the 11.2 grams. So your question that you asked, where did the 16%? The first time 16% that we know of was when they added 16% to the shekel HaKodesh to make a new shekel HaKodesh, lefi halacha of halacha kvuah, okay, of that. So that's the first time that it was used, and from then on it was used for many other things in the Gemara. Okay, but that's shekel, and we won't have time to get into it, but if you look at Masechet Bechorot, Daf Nun, Amud Aleph, you'll see a whole discussion of whether that is halacha l'maaseh, or you could go back to the old shekel of 11.2 grams and kavu halacha l'maaseh in the Gemara that no, from now on it's the shekel tzori, it's the 14 grams that you have to use, and the Gemara is a very interesting Gemara on that question, and the Gemara says no, the kavu on Knesset Gedolah, that is now the mishkal, and so from the Masechet Bechorot, we have that from now on the shekel tzori, 14 grams it is. So what is five shekel? 14 times 5, which is 70 grams, and that is the necessary amount for pidyon haben, and not the original 11.2 grams. Again, you want to accept the later halacha, because what do? We follow tradition, and this was for 200 years. It was 70 grams for 200 years. It was 80 grams. 200 years. It was 90 grams, and now it's pretty much everyone quotes, every Rav that is asked will say it's 19 grams. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go by 19 grams, but if we go back historically, we have that. Now, how do we know that this shekel tzori was used in Beit HaMikdash? Because that was the coin that was used, and it says every time. So, yes, later Rabbanim kavu heavier weights, but do you want to know what shekel was used in Beit HaMikdash? We have the coin. They're available. Anyone can buy one. Right?
Today it's a different value than back then.
Value in terms of numismatic value, collector value, or the silver value. The silver is just still the same. You can buy one and they still weigh 14 grams just like they weighed for 2,000 years ago. That was the shekel that was used in Beit HaMikdash.
How could you be sure that that's the same? How does one know that what you see now is what it was thousands of years ago? I don't know. I'm not in that field.
Okay, good question. There was a hoard of coins that was found in Haifa, just out of Haifa, under an ancient synagogue. that had 4,800 coins in it. Now, in this hoard of coins, which 4,800 coins, you would think they were coins from all over, all different times, all different years, etc. In this hoard of coins, there were only shekel tzori, chatzi shekel tzori.
In Haifa.
Huh?
It was found in Haifa now?
In outside of Haifa, on the mountain. All right? In 1960. All right? Shekel tzori, chatzi shekel tzori, and these coins that we looked at, these dinari. Right?
Any reason why out of all places in Haifa? What's the speculation why over there?
Because of the makeup of this hoard of coins, it's very clear that these were coins that were brought from the north and sent to Beit HaMikdash to pay machatzit shekel, because there were no coins from any other places, right? And the denarius coins, were coins that were used to pay the kalbon. Now, the kalbon is a knas, is a punishment for not bringing the right shekel. If you didn't bring the right shekel, you had to exchange it for shekel tzori, because you were only allowed to use the shekel tzori. All right. So in this hoard were the shekel tzori, half shekel tzori, and dinarim that it says in the Gemara, in another place in the Gemara, that were the only the dinarim that were allowed to be brought as the kalbon, to pay the kalbon. Right? Now, the problem is that this group of coins was buried around the year 60 of CE.
How do they know that?
Because there were coins that were dated. The shekel tzoris have dates on them. Right? So we know the date. There was a coin from the year 60 in that group. Now, obviously, it wasn't buried before that year. Right? Okay.
200 years later.
It could be, but there were also coins. There were also the denarius coins of Tiberius. Now, Tiberius, those coins were minted. Those coins were minted up until 37, from 14 to 37. Now, that's very strange, that there were no other coins except these coins there were no other coins except coins that were these denarius coins from the year 14 to 37. Right? That's very strange. They were already out of circulation. There were new coins minted after that. So why were these coins? Because these are the only coins that were recognized as the kalbon. So this was obviously coins that were sent to Beit HaMikdash. Now, Beit HaMikdash in the year 70 was destroyed. So there was no reason to be sending a group of coins. So this was buried during the war. It was buried during the war, during the Merid against the Romans, 66 to 70.
Do they know how it was transported, by land, by sea?
It was probably by land. It could have been from Lebanon, the area of Lebanon today. All right. Could have been from further north. I mean, there were could have been from Turkey. There were very large Jewish communities in the area of Turkey.
Haifa from Yerushalayim?
No, they're going to Jerusalem. They're going to Jerusalem. All right.
There's no sea from Haifa to Yerushalayim.
I didn't say. I said they were probably by land. They were brought from Turkey overland down through Syria, Lebanon. What's today Syria, Lebanon. There were gigantic Jewish communities in Turkey at the time, before the destruction of the temple. There's a synagogue, an ancient synagogue in the city of Sardis in western Turkey. Right? The synagogue was 50 yards across. Right? That's half a football field. It was a synagogue that large, because there were gigantic Jewish communities. Now they had to send the coins to the Beit HaMikdash. So they brought them to one spot, and there was a shaliach that was sent from that spot to bring them the money to Jerusalem. They couldn't get to Jerusalem because of the war. They couldn't get to the war. And so what they did was they buried it during the war, hoping to go back and bring it after the war. But the temple was destroyed. Maybe the people who buried it were also killed in the war. And so this was found 60 years later.
You told us 10, 15 years ago that because they were dedicated, the same story.
Jonathan, a lot of things have changed since
Yeah,
17 years ago.
but they were dedicated, so they needed to be treated differently than common coins that might be of that era.
Yes, they were.
What do you call, what's the word for
Hekdesh.
dedicated?
Hekdesh.
Hekdesh.
Hekdesh, it's Kodesh. Anytime that you decided, if you had a lamb you were going to bring to Beit HaMikdash, to a korban, say, this lamb I'm going to bring tomorrow I'm going to the Beit HaMikdash, I'm going to bring this lamb to Beit HaMikdash. That lamb is now Hekdesh, right? You said it's going to to the Beit, it already belongs to the Beit HaMikdash, and you're not allowed to use that for anything else. So those coins were indeed
Even by
Hekdesh.
saying it, just by dedicating it, by pledging it, you can't.
Even in your mind. Okay, and so those are Hekdesh. So those coins were found, and we know that they're from the time of the Beit HaMikdash. I just want to finish off.
Who's possessing that whole big cash?
Oh, you want to
Where are they?
It's a long question. Long story. We're not going to have time. All I can tell you is I have 3 of them.
Oh,
how does that work?
It's a long story.
another hour.
It's a long
Give
story.
room on the tape for another hour.
One more thing I want to finish here is that during the time of the Mered,
Robert, can I interrupt you? Just a halachic issue. No, it's just a really side question. If you're saying that it belonged to the Beis HaMikdash, why would it not be Hekdesh? You just said it might be Hekdesh.
Repeat the question.
that's the question.
It's not getting-
That is the question.
Why
These
would you
coins,
like to have it in your hands? It might be Beis HaMikdash.
what do I do with it?
You better put it in it's Beis HaMikdash property.
There is no. What do I do with it?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
So when you get the answer, let me know.
You for sure not using it. You're in a safe somewhere, but it's Beis HaMikdash property.
I'm not using
That's
it.
what he's saying, says he
I
said.
knew you. I have it set aside.
I understand. Okay, I'm just saying it.
Okay. During the Mered, they started minting coins.
During the what?
During the war, all right? They minted coins for 5 years during the war. A lot of the coins are dated year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 of the war. They started dating according to the. So the shekel that they minted. The shekel that they minted says Shekel Yisrael on it. Okay? Now, who minted the coins? The Beit HaMikdash. The Kohen Gadol was the only power at the time, the only government at the time. So they minted coins and they say Shekel Yisrael on it. That's a statement saying, this is the shekel you have to bring to Beit HaMikdash. It says on it,
They made their own coins.
they made their own coins, and it says Shekel Yisrael on it. This is the shekel. And the half shekel says Machatzita shekel.
How do you buy a coin like that?
They were minted for use.
You know, it's a whole study there with in coins. If you're minting a coin, what is it? Pressed?
Struck.
Yeah.
Struck. It was struck. Now, why do I bring up this? What's important about this? How do I know that when they minted this coin, they said Shekel Yisrael, how do I know that they really meant that this is the shekel to bring to Beit HaMikdash? Not only does it say Shekel Yisrael on it, and Machatzit HaShekel, okay, and it was the correct weight, it was the weight of the Shekel Tzori, they made it exactly the weight of the Shekel Tzori, which Kavu Halacha Kvo. This is the first time in history that a coin had the weight minted on it. The first time in history. Why did all of a sudden, when they were minting a coin, start doing something that no one before them had ever done and put a weight on it? Because they were saying, this is the weight of the shekel you have to bring to Beit HaMikdash.
They wrote on it what they write on it.
Shekel Yisrael is written on it.
Yeah, but they're they're not saying the amount of weight, what the word shekel.
Shekel is a weight.
So that became.
And they said shekel Yisrael on it. Machatzit HaShekel, it says on it. HaShekel, not shekel. Machatzit HaShekel. They were declaring for all time that this was
Standard.
this is the shekel to bring to Beit HaMikdash. And they went out, they did something that was never done before. They put a weight on it because they were declaring this is Machatzit HaShekel. So here we have the proof from the time of Beit HaMikdash that the Kohen Gadol was saying this is the official weight to bring to Beit HaMikdash, Machatzit HaShekel. What's the weight on it? 14 grams for the shekel, 7 grams for the half shekel.
Now, should we send a copy of this recording to United Nations so they will see that there really is a history of the Yidden in that land?
Good question. And that question,
Let me just see, hold on. Laurent, you want to ask any question? Shmuley, are you still on there? Do you want to ask any question? Shmuley, you there? The picture is very scary looking from the Litzman brothers. But anyways, Shmuley, so I'm going to log you out. We have a bunch of stuff. We're being recorded here anyways. I'm going to put this recording.
any questions?
Any? Yeah. I'm logging you out. Moshe, you could ask a question.
Yeah, just related to what you stated much earlier, when Abraham purchased the cave. So my question is, I understand that they didn't use coins, it was weighted, but my question is, if you know, or if there's a way of telling, I can. We know he overpaid. He wanted, yeah,
He didn't want any favors.
right. So my question is, in your estimation, how much did he overpay?
We don't know how much land was going for it at the time. We know it was a lot of money, 400
Shekel kesef.
shekel kesef. We know later on,
Shekel kesef. What does that mean? Shekel.
a weight, 14 grams of silver. That's what it means, exactly. A pound of silver,
Make sure he doesn't trip on it.
14 or 11? We're talking about Abraham Avinu there.
11.2
Grams.
grams. 11.2 grams.
Don't trip on the wire before you
Shekel kesef, and we later on we have indications that a dinar, 1/4 of a shekel kodesh, is about a day's wage, and there was no great inflation at the time. Now the Gemara talks about inflation a lot. Again, an important question of what we're learning, of what we can learn from history and apply it to Gemara. There was a lot of discussion of inflation in the Gemara, but there was no inflation at the time. Why? What's the discordance? There was inflation at the time of the Gemara, of the first years of the Gemara, after the Mishnah. There was a great inflation in silver coins, not in bronze coins and not in gold coins, only in silver coins. So when they're talking about silver coins, there was a terrific inflation. The silver dinar, which is why they changed, whether you go say a dinar kesef or dinar zahav, and why it changed. The dinar went out of use in the year 250, which is just the first 50 years of the Gemara. Right? The expression dinar stayed and was used, but it was only an expression. It wasn't in use anymore, because the dinar went in 50 years. During those 50 years, from being 100% silver to being 2% silver, right? Even for 50 years, that's a lot of inflation, all right? But if you look at prices in copper, in bronze, the pruta, or if you look at the prices in gold coins, they were stable, right? And so, which is why you have the whole question in Perek HaZahav of at one time Rob said kesef koneta zahav, and one time it says zahav koneta kesef, because they were changing amounts of what was stable, silver or gold, right? And so when we said kesef koneta zahav, gold was stable, right? Because the what buys something is a matbea, the silver, the not matbea, excuse me, the schora, the material that you're that you're buying, that determines when the iska, when the transaction is finished. So when you said kesef koneta zahav is when zahav was stable. When you said when zahav koneta kesef is when kesef was stable. And so you need to know what things were stable in order to understand Perek Zahav.
So are you saying that now?
He didn't change his mind. Things changed over the 50 years that when he was.
With the elections coming up now in America and the financial crisis, are you saying that they should learn to study Gemara to find out what the best financial plan for the future should be?
No, you should learn to study Gemara because that's the way to tell you how to live a good life.
Hold on, I would like to conclude by saying a Gracie Ashtikayach, very, very interesting, very, very straightforward, and I hope the ones who are Esa Sheyeshner probably enjoyed it, I know, and Esa Sheyeshner probably those who heard it online who are eventually going to hear it in the generations to come, definitely going to find it informative. Again, Yashikoyach and Hatzlach and all you do.
Thank you.
All do.